It's such an interesting thing, building community. My wife and I were driving home the other night from an event, and two of our friends were at another event. We'd only introduced the two of them, I don't know, a month or two before. And she was like, I'm so happy they hit it off and they became friends. The reason it came up, Charles, is because we had another friend who got really upset when two of the people she introduced became friends and went somewhere without her. I just want to get into that subject a little
Yeah,
bit because
I'm glad you did. So there's a couple ways we could talk about it, but here's one thing I've already learned about your wife. She's confident about her importance in the world and the value she provides to her friends. She knows that she's valuable in the world and that her friends appreciate her. She knows it. She doesn't need more proof. So when she sees her friends have a richer life, she's excited that her community got richer. If your wife was concerned that life is a competition and she wants to be popular and she doesn't know if she's winning, then when somebody else votes with their time to spend time with someone who's not your wife, now she gets afraid and that fear looks like anger. But what she's really angry about is maybe she's not so important that she gets to do all the fun things with the people who are doing fun things. So it's about confidence, and that confidence allows generosity. And Brad, I know you have a globally successful business life, and we even talked for a number of times now, and I know that you want to work with people that you perceive as generous. For example, you find out a manager won't let someone take their kid to a doctor, and your question is, what is going on here? And that's because you're confident that your employees and your business are going to work if Brad lets an employee go extemporaneously to take care of a family member simply because they said that needs to happen. Good enough.
Yeah, I remember in one company, someone put in a time clock at the front door. And I walked in and went, what is that? Time clock. I went, why? Like, do we not trust our people? Get rid of that. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, and you know exactly if you start tracking people's time, exactly what they're going to deliver to you and what then they're not going to deliver for you because they're delivering the thing you're measuring.
Yeah, they're going to deliver less. So I want to go back to that jealousy thing because I know, and I'm going to admit something here. When we had kids and my wife's time that used to be mine got taken away, there was a period in my world where I was like jealous of my kids as a dad or as a husband. And it was like, I'm not liking this. You know, I'm no longer the most important. And it took me, and luckily my coach at the time, my coach, Doc Sid, had, I don't know, maybe nine kids, 27 grandkids. And he looked at me and he went, seriously? And we had a good conversation about it. But that jealousy of kids, friends, how does one, in your opinion, either move through that? Because it also happens in the workplace.
Well, we call that maturity, Brad. I mean, you're laughing, and let's be serious about this. You matured as a father by getting through that chapter. And I know you matured through it because you can talk about it now, right? Not defensively.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of dads, like especially young dads, when I say to them, listen, you're gonna feel loss when you have kids. You're gonna have the joy of the kid, but you're gonna feel loss of your wife, and you have to marry the two somehow.
Yeah, I recently heard some wisdom that said all growth happens through struggle. We could also say suffering. I don't know if that's true. You and I know that that's very often true.
Yeah, if you go back to perturbation, which is third law of thermonuclear dynamics, you know, there must be pressure for there to be growth. So I don't know if it's suffering but there has to be pressure for there to be serious growth. So where there is no pressure, there is no growth. But it's how much pressure you put yourself under is the interesting question, and whether you're willing to put yourself into pressure situations, and whether that's putting a team under pressure, yourself under pressure, your family under pressure. And I know even in our personal life, there was a time where my wife and I went back and looked at our life based on major moments per year. And we found that there was not a quarter in our life where there wasn't a major moment, like moving house, a dog, a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like there was, and it was like, no wonder we're stressed all the time. Look at all of these things. It's like we need to be in a less is more mindset for a little while.
So you said, how to get past that? And the answer is notice where we can be more generous and also get what we need. And you mentioned creating the Handsome Men's Club. My guess is part of your investment in that is recognizing I need friendships that will be supportive of me while I'm maturing as a father and a business professional and a civic citizen. And guess what? It turns out my wife, who used to provide much of that before we had all these kids, can't provide that. God bless her. And so you invested, you matured in convening the people you needed. And you and I both know that the reason the Handsome Men Club works at all is because you never approached it. Well, I'm going to invite men who can give me things, and I'm going to see how much I can get out of them.
No, it's the opposite. It's bring together a group of guys who literally can have a beer on a Friday, talk about being masters of the universe, and just make sure that we all feel good about each other. And if something's going wrong, and also a group text where there's dumb stuff that we send each other, and political jokes, and and sports, and yeah, just that crazy group. I think group texts are a wonderful way of creating community today that just allows that ease community that starts.
Well, I'm going to push back and say that the group texts are a fantastic accessory to the investment you made in in-person time, generous listening, genuine inquiry, and a genuine, generous relationship to them. And after all that was in place, the group texts were really helpful.
Yeah, it keeps people moving. But it's funny how the group text turns into the individual text when you notice something in it. Like one of the guys says something and you go, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" You jump on the outside of it. But
Well, let's note, Brad, that's a more intimate conversation. So it's funny that you recognize when something's actually a problem, you defaulted to creating a more intimate experience to see if you can be helpful.
oh yeah, I think you just have to. It's a challenge today to maintain friendships because it's work. And that's where I think a lot of people see, and I see this too often. I've made like I saw this stupid thing at the start of the year. People saying, "I'm only going to put time into people who put time into me. If they don't reach out, I'm not going to reach out to them." Well, if everyone did that on the planet, all of a sudden, no one's got friends. Like, come on, you've got to put in the time and energy to make friends, work with friends, keep friends, build the relationships.
We have to judge what we can invest in because I think you're right, Brad, and I'm in the same circle you have. I'm constantly inviting because I have 100 events. I want to spend time with people I care about. And there are people I have noticed that if in 3 years you invite me to nothing, you check in to me about nothing, you think that our entire relationship is I host events you like to attend and tell me how great they are, then I've only got so many hours a week. And I'm going to find the friends who have a richer relationship. So in all seriousness, my wife and I host very conservatively 50 dinner parties a year, and that's very conservative. And we don't have a wine cellar with 10 seats, but they're nice. But my point is, there are people that were invited by a friend, and they were so happy to meet us and love coming. And then I noticed after years, I never got invited to any event that they went to. Did they go to museum night? Did they go to a folk concert? Did they go to a cultural event in San Francisco? And did they ever just shoot me a note? This is, "Hey, I'm going to this. Would you like to join me? We love spending time with you." If the answer is no, then after 3 years, I want to invest in friendships that will develop into something other than you like me hosting dinner parties.
Yeah, I call them out on it. I literally will call my friends out when that happens. And I know one of my buddies, I called him out on it. He says, "Dude, I can't, I'm embarrassed to have you to my house." Well, I said, "I'm embarrassed to call you a friend if you're embarrassed to have me at your house." I said, if you think that coming to your house is about what you have and all of those sorts of things, then our friendship's got to shift. He said, "Yeah, you're right." And so he invited me over, and we had a great time. And it's like, it doesn't matter what, it just matters who and how often, sort of thing. But
Well, I also want to add to this conversation. I think that's wonderful that you could tell your friend, "Look, I'm not there to judge your house. I'm here to build a friendship, and that's what's important." For example, I live in San Francisco, and there's lots of museums, and museums often have evening events with food trucks or a band. You know what? It's literally free to go to a museum and sit in a courtyard and listen to a free band. And if I get a message say, "Hey, Brad Sugars," who says, "Hey, we're going to go to this museum, and we're just going to see if this jazz band is any good. We'd love for you to join me." An invitation. We'd love for you to join us. Then I'm like, wow, well, I don't know if Brad's house is under construction, but we can sit in a courtyard of a museum on a Friday evening and enjoy beverages. That's free.